Welcome back to Educator.com's English Grammar course. This lesson is on progressive tenses. Let's get started. All right, let's start with a brief overview. We're going to learn what a progressive tense is, and we're going to look at the three simple progressive tenses: present progressive, past progressive, and future progressive. Then we're going to look at the perfect progressive tenses. Now, if you want to know more about perfect tenses, go back to the previous lesson in the series. But if you want to know about perfect progressives, we're going to look at present perfect progressive, past perfect progressive, and future perfect progressive. All right, to begin with, what is a progressive tense? Well, a verb in the progressive tense in English describes an action that is ongoing at the time being discussed. Now, remember, a progressive tense describes an action in progress. That's where we get the name. Progressive tenses are formed with tenses of the verb to be and the present participle or progressive form of the main verb. Now remember, the present participle forms are the forms that include the ing suffix. They describe ongoing actions. All right, the present progressive tense. To form the present progressive, add the present tense of to be, am, is, or are as appropriate, to the present participle form of the main verb. So, you use the present progressive tense for actions currently in progress, going on as of now. I am planning a surprise party for Tammy's birthday. As we speak, the planning is going on. You also use them for future actions that will occur at a specific time. They're on the schedule. So this is a very common construction. We are going to win that championship next year. We very often say, I am going, we are going, to say at a particular time, this event will occur. I will do this thing. And we use the present progressive tense for that construction. All right, the past progressive tense. As the name suggests, the past progressive is used for actions that are ongoing as of some point in the past. You form it by combining the past tense of to be, was, or were as appropriate, with the present participle form of the main verb. And you use the past progressive for actions that were in progress in the past, ongoing at some past point. Usually this involves the word when. Let's take a look at a couple of examples. We were looking for the missing cell phone when it suddenly rang. Now we have an event that took place in the past. It rang, past tense, and the looking was ongoing at the moment that it rang, so we were looking, past progressive. I was walking along the beach when I stepped on a bottle and cut my foot. Again, stepped and cut are both past tense verbs. We know that these events happened in the past, and the walking was ongoing at the time of the stepping and the cutting. So, I was walking, past progressive tense. The future progressive. You form this by adding will be to the present progressive form of the word. So there's your ing. You use the future progressive tense for actions that will be in progress at a certain point in the future. So, tomorrow morning I will be running in my first marathon. Your clue here is tomorrow morning. You're talking about a point in the future, and you're talking about an action that will be ongoing as of that time. When you wake up tomorrow morning, I will be running. Next year, Ted will be working for UNICEF. Again, an event in the future that is ongoing as of the time you're talking about, next year. All right, perfect progressive tenses. You wouldn't think English needed still more tenses, but it does. A verb in a perfect progressive tense describes an action that has been in progress for some time as of the time being discussed. Now remember, perfect tenses describe actions that are complete as of the time being discussed. Perfect progressive are actions that have been ongoing. So there's an element of completeness and there's an element of incompletion. Perfect progressive tenses are formed with the verb to be, the helping verb to have, and the present participle form of the main verb. Let's look at some examples. Present perfect progressive tense. To form the present perfect progressive tense, add have or has been to the present participle form of the main verb. Now you use this for an action that has been in progress for a long time. So, I have been writing a screenplay in my spare time for the last 6 months. Writing a screenplay takes time. It goes for a long period, so I have been writing. This has been ongoing for a long time. Bob has been thinking for weeks about going back to school. We have an ongoing action that extends back into the past. All right, past perfect progressive. The past perfect progressive tense is formed by combining had been with the present participle form of the main verb. You use the past progressive for actions that had been in progress for a length of time as of some point in the past. We had been looking for the lost dog until Susan found it in her backyard. Now your clue here is found. That's a past tense event, and you have an ongoing event that predates it. So we had been looking until she found. Also, I had been thinking of you for hours before you called. Once again, called is a past tense verb. It indicates a past event. And had been thinking was ongoing for hours. There's another clue. Before the calling. So, you use the past perfect progressive. Now, future perfect progressive. You form this by adding will have been to the present progressive form of the word. You use this tense to express how long an action will be in progress. So, let's look at some examples. By the time I finish college, I will have been in school for 17 years. Again, finishing college is presumably a future event as of the time this person is speaking, and will have been is used to tell you just how long someone has been in school, for 17 years. By the time he retires, Jack will have been serving in the Army for 2 decades. Again, your clue here was by the time he retires, so we're talking about the future, and for 2 decades. We're talking about a stretch of time, so we use the future perfect progressive. All right, see if you can figure out the correct progressive tense for each of these blanks. I, some form of go, to climb that mountain before I turn 30. We, some form of buy, our first home together this week. Next Thursday, I, some form of wait, on the platform when your train arrives. We, some form of look, for you everywhere and you were at home all this time. And she, some form of sleep, when the storm struck her house. Take a good look. Pause the video if you need to. And there you have it. I am going to climb that mountain before I turn 30. Remember, this is a very common construction with the present progressive. I am going to do this to describe a future event. Then we have we are buying our first home together this week. Present progressive, this is going on. Buying a home is usually a long process. Next Thursday, I will be waiting on the platform when your train arrives. When your train arrives and next Thursday are your clues that you need the future progressive. We were looking for you everywhere, and you were at home all this time. Were is your indication. You have a past tense. Someone was at home at some point in the past, and the looking was ongoing, so you use the past progressive. And she was sleeping when the storm struck her house. Again, struck, past tense verb. Sleeping was an ongoing action as of the striking, so you use past progressive. All right, see if you can find the correct perfect progressive tense for each of these blanks. I, some form of think about you since the day we met. Oscar, some form of box for 5 years. Today he fights for the championship. By this time tomorrow, you, some form of swim for 24 hours straight. We, some form of think of throwing Bill a surprise party until he told us how much he hated surprises. And the dancer, some form of practice for weeks before the recital day arrived. Take a good look. Pause the video if you need to. All right, I have been thinking about you since the day we met. Since the day we met was your clue that you need the present perfect progressive. Oscar has been boxing for 5 years. This is very similar to many of the examples. And today, which tells you what time frame we're really talking about, he fights for the championship. By this time tomorrow, you will have been swimming for 24 hours straight. This time tomorrow was your indication that we're talking about the future, so we use the future perfect progressive. We had been thinking of throwing Bill a surprise party until he told us, that's your clue, that we needed the past perfect progressive, how much he hated surprises. And finally, the dancer had been practicing for weeks before the recital day arrived. Arrived is your clue. We're talking about a past event and an ongoing event prior to that past event. So had been practicing, past perfect progressive. All right, see if you can figure out the correct tense to use in each of these blanks. Today, I some form of deliver food to hungry people. When you call tonight, I some form of wait by the telephone. Vladimir opened the door and told Emma that he some form of expect her for hours. She some form of feel ill all day, so she decided to skip the party. And finally, Andre some form of painting a picture when there came a knock at the door. Take a good look, pause the video if you need to. All right, today I am delivering food to hungry people. Am delivering is your answer, and today was your indication. It's present progressive, it's ongoing, it's what I'm doing today. When you call tonight, I will be waiting by the telephone. Tonight was your clue. You're talking about a future event, but waiting would be ongoing, so it's will be waiting. Vladimir opened the door and told Emma that he had been expecting her for hours. Again, your clue here is opened the door. Opening took place in the past, therefore the expecting predated it and was ongoing. Had been expecting, past perfect progressive. She had been feeling ill all day, so she decided, there's your clue, to skip the party. We're in the past of the past and describing an ongoing event, so past perfect progressive. And finally, Andre was painting a picture when there came a knock at the door. Came is your indication that we're talking about past events, and the fact that he was doing the painting when there came a knock indicates that we should be using the past progressive for an ongoing event in the past. That's all for this lesson. Thank you for watching Educator.com.